pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So everyone's here tonight, so we got a quorum. So let's start off with the approval of the minutes of county council minutes of October 30th. Sent to us. Is there any additions or corrections to those minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second the motion. So we've got a first and a second, so all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The minutes are approved.
Well, you guys signed the budget thing last time, and I don't know why I don't have another signature page. So,
That's all right.
oh, here they are. I got it. Just got it before the ordinance. Who did the first?
Ryan,
Ryan and
Darryl.
Okay. So I think so I guess first on the agenda here is Steve Bird.
Good afternoon. Here to talk about a couple things. First of all, the proposed additional appropriations in the MVH fund. I'd like to ask an additional appropriation for $750 to our CDL trainer, and I'll explain that in just a second. Tires and tubes of $7,500 and equipment repair of $15,000. CDL trainer, when we took one of our people now since to get a Class A CDL license, schooling is in the $5,000 to $6,000 neighborhood. It's getting harder and harder to find good applicants that actually have a Class A CDL anymore. So trying to think outside the box and how can we, generate some employees or good applicants and try to get them trained and licensed. So we took one of our people, we sent them to training school. They're certified to give the training. I think he received his certification on October the 19th. So he's already trained one person. He's gone to Mitchell today. He passed his training, so now he will get a CDL license tomorrow. So that's good. That's one. We've hired a mechanic. We're going to be putting him through the same thing. So when we set this up, he was supposed to go ahead and get his basically trainer pay beginning from October 19th. But through a misunderstanding or maybe miscommunication on my part, it was set up to begin in 2024. So what I'd like to do is $750, get that appropriated, and I guess that'll be through a wage.
We'll do an amendment to the salary ordinance.
For the salary ordinance, yeah. But this will back pay him to October 19th when he did get a certification, and then he gets so much for that person that he actually trained and got passed. So that should take care of C-23.
how much was that again?
He will get $46.15 extra in his biweekly pay. And then for every person who completes training he'll get $250 at the end when he gets, like right now, after he gets his license.
So he'll train people and they'll get $250 every person he trains them.
And in addition to getting $46.15 per pay for having the certification.
Which is a significant saving to what we would have to pay to live out of the house.
Significant.
So how many people would he be training? I mean, so each person he trains, he would get an additional $250. Would they get additional pay then? Having a CDL license, the person?
No.
It's just the trainer.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, that person is being brought in with the understanding that in a reasonable amount of time, we don't really list it on there, but within a reasonable amount of time, they have to acquire a Class A CDL, so they know that going in. And basically, we have them sign I guess, a letter of intent that they have to work with us for at least 2 years. Otherwise, they have to pay a prorated part of that cost back to the county.
Okay. All right, so do we want to go ahead and, I guess we have to do 2 things here, I guess.
Well, I've got the,
He's got some other things here. though.
I've got the 3 different additional appropriations he requested, and then I've got the amendment to the salary ordinance, and then he's got some other things he hasn't talked about yet.
Yeah, I didn't know if we wanted to,
Well, we can make them, I guess, let's finish up on this one. I think otherwise it's going to get too complicated here tonight.
Okay.
So, any questions on that? This has been ongoing, I know.
Yeah.
Commissioners approved this. I don't,
You guys already put it in the budget for next year, it's just he started this year and there was no compensation for it.
I'll make a motion to amend, for the amendment to the salary ordinance.
Second. Okay, so we got a first and a second. Any other questions or open for discussion? Otherwise, all in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? So that carries.
Okay,
okay,
so then I need the additional appropriation of $750 to add to the line item to pay for that.
Okay, so same deal. Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Meredith has made the motion.
I'll second.
Sonia has seconded. So any other discussion on that? Otherwise, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Okay,
That carries.
then he has $7,500 in highway supplies for tires.
So again, is that, why don't you brief us on that? Is that because of inflation or is that because of something that is unforeseen?
we've got some tires that are starting to wear down. They're probably not gonna make it into next year, especially with the snow season coming up. So we're gonna have to get those replaced before the end of the year. So, usually we try to spend that down, but with inflation and a few other things and some wear and tear, we're not gonna have enough to cover those tires. So this is gonna cover those, I think, trucks and a couple of greater tires,
Okay.
stuff like that. Greater tires are about $1,000 a piece now. So,
Any questions of Steve on that additional question? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve that $7,500 additional appropriation.
I'll make a motion to approve 7,500.
Okay, Brian has made a motion, and a second.
I'll second.
Doug has seconded, so any other discussion? Otherwise, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So that carries.
And then we have the highway other services, $15,000 for repairs.
Brief us on that.
okay, that there, pretty much anything that breaks anymore is $1,500, $2,000, $4,000, and I think we had it added maybe about 2 months ago, and we had another breakdown, and that's going to cost us again. So $15,000 should cover us through the end of the year.
Questions of Steve on that? Not hearing any, I guess I'll entertain a motion to approve that additional appropriation of $15,000 for services.
I can make the motion. I'll make the motion.
Carol has
I'll
made
second
a
that.
motion and Meredith has seconded. Any other discussion? Otherwise, all in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? So that carries.
Okay. And then I've got another additional appropriation from King Bridge. This is for the 15th Street Extension Bridge project. I know they're working on they're working on an interlocal agreement with Jasper. I believe that's just about finished, but I guess the prices have gone up since they've originally talked about this, and I believe it's the way Brent talked, is like a $45,000.
I think this part is for design.
For design, yes.
And then they merged the two, design and construction on the interlocal. So next meeting, we're gonna talk about the construction part.
Mhm. Yeah, but yeah, just like Sandy said, this is for design.
So last November, a year ago, I guess, we approved 105,000 for design. So now you're saying it's another, just the design has gone up $45,000. And is the city of Jasper, do they pay any of that?
I believe we're taking care of the bridge and they're taking care of the rest of that project.
The road leading to it, you mean?
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, for the new people, that's kind of common, right, on the
Mhm.
Cube Bridge?
Yeah, the county collects the Cube Bridge taxes, and then if there's any large structures within the incorporated towns or unincorporated towns, we take care of those.
What's the cutoff on that, the bridges?
Pardon?
Is there a specific dollar cutoff, or how does that work on bridges in incorporated cities?
Really not. If it's a structure that meets the Cube Bridge criteria, if any water goes under the roadway itself, that's considered a bridge. And that would come out of the Cube Bridge fund. So whether it be a 12-foot box, a 18-inch pipe, or a 60-foot long bridge, that's all the same fund.
Really?
Now, Cume Bridge, that money is collected and can only be used on bridges and approaches,
Mhm.
nothing else. And the salaries of working on the bridges and approaches,
How's that collected?
tax rate.
Property tax.
That's a special tax rate.
And it's been a while since that's changed. I know.
It hasn't changed in 25 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
So thanks for explaining that. I think, I
Okay.
mean, it's surprising that we were off that much in design, but, you know, from here a little bit, I mean, I guess anything, circumstances changed out there.
Brent would probably have better answers to that than I would as far as, but I don't believe anything on the structural part itself changed. I think it's just increased pricing, maybe. That's what I'm understanding.
Okay. All right, any,
And since he's requesting more money next time, maybe we'll have him come.
any other questions for Steve? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve that $45,000 additional appropriation for King Bridge.
I'll make that motion.
Sonia has made a motion and Carol has seconded. So, any other discussion? Otherwise, all in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
I have one more goodie for you. First set of pictures that I'm passing around is a 1986 dirt loader that we have on our lot. We use it quite a bit. I've been looking for the last couple of years to try to get it replaced because of the evidence that we saw there. There's some pieces in there that will wore out. You can't get them anymore. So we've been looking to try to find a suitable replacement or something that made sense. It's kind of like a combine. You know, you spend $300,000 on a machine that you can use maybe a couple times a year. That was the same way with us. It's a new one that's around $300,000, and we just weren't prepared to go to that length, at least to this point. So just trying to think outside the box. Well, when it broke down, we did some additional calling, and we happened to locate one in Flat Rock, Indiana. So the other papers that I'm sending along is pictures of the one that we did locate. It's a year older, which makes it an 87, but it's got very low hours. We went up to take a look at it. We started it. It fired right up. The engine just purred like a cat. We ran the chains and the sprockets and the belts, and you didn't hear any grinding or squeaking that would make it sound a little bit, worrisome. I mean, it just ran real well. So the wear parts, the drive sprockets, the chains, very little wear on it at all. So, we talked them down to $25,000 and he accepted that. So what I'd like to do is ask to, do a transfer of appropriations from, our MVH restricted fund from gas, oil and diesel, which we don't believe we're gonna need, well, we know we're not gonna need any more this year, of $25,000 and move it into the equipment line item to pay for this purchase. So,
I saw that in the minutes of the commissioners meeting. That's a good deal.
yeah, we thought so too. We went up and took a look at it and, I mean, it looked fantastic with the weather and everything. That's one of the things we were looking at. And we hopped in there and fired the thing up and it just purred. It was
Now,
pleasant surprise.
the commissioners are gonna keep the old one because the old one's parts fit on the,
That's
That's what I was gonna ask, are they gonna keep the old one for parts?
We're gonna keep the old one for parts. A lot of it is interchangeable except for the pieces that you see in the first hand. So, we should be in good shape for quite a while on that now. For $25,000, that's a really good buy for the piece of equipment that we're looking at. So,
I remember you had that in your budget. I think it was last year. That was one of the things that happened at the first meeting of the year, and then yanked it out of the budget there in January. And
Yeah,
move.
I've been dancing around with that for the last couple of years and I just didn't feel good about it yet. And you know, we hadn't pulled the trigger and it just.
I guess I'll make that motion to pay for 25,000.
Second.
The first and the second, and any other discussion for anyone, for Steve, before we hold on? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed? So that's a transfer appropriation of 25,000, so. Productive night for you. Pardon? I said it was a productive evening for you.
It sure was, yeah.
So-
Yeah, it worked out well.
No, thanks. Is there anything else?
No, that's it.
Otherwise, okay, well, thank you.
All right,
Thanks a lot.
thank you.
Have a good evening.
Wish you guys want to hang on to them, I don't really need it.
I'm a machinery trader peruser myself.
It comes in handy. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, what, Pat, I had spoke with Pat on his, his appointment to the Regional Sewer District, which is ending at the end of the year, and I asked him to ask if he would serve for another 4 years, and he said he'd love to come in and talk to us.
Right. So I've been in here before, it's a lot of new faces, but no money this time. I don't really bring money to pay off our debt, but I'm not asking for money either, so that's good. So a little bit about Patoka Regional Water and Sewer District. This whole thing was founded a long time ago when the lake was being built. And we had a lot of smart people in our district to make everything happen like this. You know, it kind of started in '63, the need for water. The lake was being built, coming on, and Corps of Engineers was building it. DNR's operated it, and so we, Patoka District was started about that time frame, about '76 or so. And you know, I put lines in before the lake was even built to get sewer lines and water lines on each side of it. So it was an ongoing thing, and the district was formed, and it's actually part of the special government. It's a government nonprofit organization. And so with that, we need 7 board members that oversees it. And one of the 7, obviously, with your appointment from DuBois County, the county commissioner served on one. There's 3 counties. So that's 1, 2, 3, 6, 6. There's 6 people right there. Then the governor will appoint the 7. So that makes it for 7-man board, okay? So with that, let me see my notes here. So a little bit about the water plant we have 2 water plants, intake system. We produce, average about 8 million gallons a day is what that's being produced out there. And it's being sent all over the place. We touch little pieces of like 7 different counties. We go all the way over to Oakland City, all the way down to Magnet and Derby, down by the Ohio River, Orange County, Crawford County, and of course, the surrounding areas around here. We're actually looking at put emergency tap on the Jasper water supply too. A grant is being done for that right now. So we have over 20 wholesale customers. There's a lot of customers that we don't sell to. We might sell to English, for example, and they'll resell the water to another district. So we touch a lot of different wholesale customers. We have over 5,000 retail customers, and all these lines, all the tanks, all the pumps. Imagine all these hills we have in southern Indiana. We got to get up and over it. Hydraulics of it is incredible, really. So it's a very complex system. It's also starting to be an aging system. You know, we're looking at 45 years old from the first phase we have in there now. So, you know, there's always new challenges for that and replacing one. As you can imagine, we depreciate something out 45 years ago, and that's what's on the books, and what it's going to cost to replace it today is just staggering. And so this is going to be becoming a real problem with all the utilities going to have the same issue though. So then we also have a sewer department that was also put in place about the same time, and that it started out serving the town of Du Bois, and also it went to Ramspacher, it's on Willett Hills now, and also it goes over the lake and gets the campgrounds up. So since that early 2000s, it's also been expanded. Another line went down to Sales, St. Snellville, and St. Anthony, and to serve them communities too. So we are really, a service organization. Not for profit. We don't really want to be at some places where we are. We wish we weren't in some places because it's not productive. But we are a service industry. So with that, most of the challenges are like replacing parts. The biggest thing is I think we're having a change of people on a little bit. So a lot of our people have been around for about that long. They know the system. They know well. Like getting older, so people move on, and so we have vacancies to fill these positions. And so that's going to be one of our bigger challenges, to get somebody that actually knows the system. It's a very complex system. It really is. Currently our general manager is retiring, so we got an ad out for a general manager now. So I feel the need for the board to be a pretty strong board when we're moving forward. And so that's my concern. County commissioners, how many times are they elected? Well, the next 4 years, someone else gets elected, and then we have a new person sitting on the board. So I've been on it for 8 years now, going on 9, and there's only one person who's been on there longer than I have, and he's 87 years old, and so he's on there for another 4 years, so we're pretty good. But we need that continuity on it a little bit, and so I see people come, I see people go. I haven't been on there that long, 8 years, not that long. So anyway, in the past we had Ed Piper. He's one who pretty much ran this system and controlled the system for years and years and years. And so we just need some kind of continuity, especially after we move more people in, new superintendents and a new general manager. They have to understand that we have to go in the right direction. The finances of this stuff is incredible. We did a 25-year study on what needs to be done on the system, and it's staggering to see what needs to be done on it. There's no way we can afford it. There's no way. But triple the water rates and stuff like that. So But it's a balancing act, trying to keep the water rates intact and stuff like that, so. So anyway, with that, I did bring a book along. We had this here guy write this here book, and I have 2 copies of it. I can leave it here if they don't care to look at it. You pass it around, do what you want. That's fine, but it's written by an engineer, so keep that in mind. It's a lot of numbers, but it's got a lot of good quotes, different people. It gives you a good history on the system. It really is the best book we have on it. We want to get that done before everybody dies off. So anyway, with that, I'm gonna just hand you this here book. And
Appreciate you doing that.
so, I don't know, I don't want to take any more time with, but I'd be great to have any questions.
So is there I guess my question, first of all, thank you for serving again, appreciate you doing that. I mean, I think you're right. Experience is a lot, to help make these decisions.
Mhm.
But how would you finance that, a big amount? I know the county borrowed money for something.
Right. Well, the sewer department, and I should have maybe mentioned earlier, but we're going through a new phase in that too. Wabash Valley is a pretty big expansion down there. And so they need more. A is water. Well, it's Du Bois water. We supply water to Du Bois, but we don't directly supply them. The Du Bois water has to put a new tower up. They went out and begged and they borrowed money. And then what we had to do is finance the sewer side of it. So we got about $4 million by the time we put a new system in, and we're going to basically bypass the town of Du Bois and go directly to our plant. So what we did, we got bonds for it, went through the bonding process.
Okay.
And I think we got the bonds in like 5.39. This just happened, We'll be talking about it. I got a meeting here in a little bit actually. So, and that's why we have like 8 different phases, and each phase is maybe a line extension or redoing something, and it's a way to refinance it and bring more money in, basically selling bonds.
Yeah, it's not a good bonding time exactly right now.
No, it's not. Fortunately, the Wabash, they have to bear part of that cost because we can't pass that cost on to the other consumers. So they have to bear the cost of what they generate, basically. So.
That's good. Any questions for Pat?
No.
We really, like I say, appreciate it, and we're gonna make those appointments here at the end of the year for,
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for
thanks for serving again.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Ryan, are you ready? Sure. Ryan Young, I want you to introduce yourself.
Ryan Young, I'm the Director of EMS Services for the county. So I'll give you, this is our fleet management for the year. So it has a summary of all the expenses by vehicle. So the first page vehicle is Unit 105. That's the one that we are currently getting remounted. But I wanted to show that the expense arena for the year. And these are in your packet by oldest to newest. So as you can tell, the second one, 521, we spent a little over 10,000. The third one, we spent 7,700. The fourth one, we spent 8,700. So as the county highway director mentioned, anytime you have any kind of repair, where it's $1,000, $2,000. So the budget we had budgeted this year was for 50,000. I'm sorry, I think it's 60,000. And we at that mark as of October, the end of October. So we had spent $50,955.50. We had a adjustment on there, a reimbursement from the insurance claim of $832. So we were still, we were about $100 over. But we were asking for a $15,000 additional appropriation to get us through the end of the year. Most of the expenses you can see on there, we've had to replace tires. We have had a few minor incidents that we've had to get fixed. So that kind of increased it a little bit more. But it's kind of a guessing game as to what you have to replace and what breaks and.
Did the Chevy G3500 break down on the road? It had a wrecker there.
Which one you're at there? Which page are you on?
Page 3, it just said wrecker for Rush, $380, it break down.
Yes. You had, I think that was the one with the alternator, the belt went out while they were out. And so they had to go tow it back for us. I don't know, they was on a run with a patient. We actually had the same truck last night was on a run and blew a turbo hose. And pretty fortunate they had another truck coming. Regardless, it was an emergency, true emergency call, so they had asked for the DuBois truck to respond as well. And while they were on the call, on the run to this, it blew a hose. So luckily the DuBois crew was there right close. But yeah, these are things that transpire. We've got these the first one, the first page, the 105 truck, we should have that one back the 1st of January. But 521 and the 1662 truck are to be replaced, but we're looking at probably at least another year. They just keep pushing it back from the standpoint of new vehicles. So the 521, they were supposed to have started already, and they pushed it back to March. And then a couple weeks ago, the guy called in and said, due to the strike, they pushed it back to September of next year. So this truck has got 394,000 miles on it. So we may be looking to try to remount that one, because I think a remount, we can get started in August of next year. I really feel like the new ones, they're just gonna keep pushing out further. So we've got 2 new ones bidded and scheduled, but he told me this one probably wouldn't be till September of next year, and the other one he couldn't really even tell me yet. So you're looking at a 3-year time frame to get new people.
So you're changing one of the new ones to remount? Is that what I just said?
The first page, the 105.
No, that's the one that was originally scheduled, right? The remount?
Right. I don't think we're gonna change it. We just may look at on the cycle if we can get a remount, because we had put in the budget for another newer remount coming up in January.
Okay.
So if we can do the remount and get that one in faster, then maybe we'll do it.
Do these things come with a warranty? When you buy, like this 2021 that we've already replaced the alternator for?
Yes, so the unit 0431, it's the third page to the end. The units are at the very top.
Yeah, unit 2881.
Yes, they do come with warranties. I don't believe any of those, part of that was under warranty, but I don't think all of it was under warranty. But the 431, I don't know if it's on there or not, but we have replaced the entire engine in that. And that was all under warranty.
So on those, Ron, do you mind taking the time of going through together in order? And I just, for my own, so the 105 is going to be a remount, and it's.
Yeah, it should be finished in January.
And then what's then 521, the next one, that's,
So it was scheduled to be replaced with a new truck,
it's gonna be replaced.
but we may switch if it's going to be longer than next September.
Okay, so that's September of 2024.
25, or
25.
20, I'm sorry, 24.
24.
That was when they could start it potentially, could start building.
And then 1662, is that,
That was the next one that we had scheduled to replace.
and that's, we got that appropriated, right?
Yes,
Correct.
correct. That's already been bid out and
Which one is that? You're talking about 1662?
yes.
Do you expect to hit 400,000 miles out of these things? I mean,
You're pushing it.
yeah.
That's why, so we kind of got behind because we had had accidents in 2 trucks and they were the newer trucks. And so they were totaled. So when we got new ones, we're kind of on a cycle, replacing one a year. And then we had to replace those. And so that kind of got us off cycle. And so that's why we had 2 trucks that had 300,000+ miles on them.
Can I ask you a question about
Yeah.
that? Do the drivers, do they go and take defensive driving? Or
So they have a certification through the state, it's called EVOC, it's Emergency Vehicle Operation Course. It's a 16-hour course that they go through every 2 years, it's a certification.
and that's a requirement before
Yes.
they can drive in?
Not before, but you have to have that within, I think, 6 months of employment or a year of employment, and then they keep that current. And so we have instructors that teach that course. We also are doing a program now with the insurance will start the first of the year that they go through online modules that they have to do, and it focuses more on just distracted driving, just normal driving.
They're driving around like a gold bar right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gosh,
The EVOC classes are more for emergency mode, what you do approaching a light that's been green for a long time and those type things. So it's more of operating more like a CDL type.
Those accidents that happen where they are fault,
I think 2 of them were, 1 of them wasn't. Most of them were just, 2 of them were mishaps. Cut the corner too sharp and hit the side of something with the ambulance. The other thing is 3 of our trucks are more like semi-type trucks. These trucks that we're replacing with are more like a pickup 550, so it'll be a smaller type. The length will be the same, but you won't set up as high. So I think that's another a better option for us.
and do you have a cutoff where you're like, we're not putting any more money into these, or we have to continue to put money in them because we've got.
So we did that with with 105. It sit for probably the last 2 months before we took it to remount, because it was a computer situation and they replaced everything they could replace except for the computer, and we weren't going to spend $4,000 or $5,000 to replace that, and then 3 months later we take it. So we did that with 105. Right now, we're one, with that being away to getting, we're 1 ambulance short. So we have 6 ambulances currently. We run 5 crews during the day and 4 at night. So that gives us an ambulance to be able to move around and service the ones as they need to be serviced. We do have a ambulance that we've gotten certified by the state. So it was one of our older ambulances several years ago that we got rid of, and Huntingburg Fire Department took it from us, and we made our first responder truck out of it. They got a new truck and asked us if we wanted it back, so we took it back. We've licensed it and certified it with the state, so we do have that option available if we want to use it locally, but I don't really think that we want to, take it to Evansville or Indianapolis or anything like that. So that's kind of a backup plan if we need something. To give you an example, if you have to, the company that's remounting it said that they would give us a loaner ambulance. It's $250 a day and you provide the insurance for it. So that's what you're looking at if we, don't have an ambulance for one of the crews. So definitely trying to keep up with this is very difficult. Used to, you bid it out 3 months later, you have a new truck. Now that it's 3 years later.
It's been years.
So.
Can we finish?
Sure.
This, so 1662, we're gonna replace it, and when is that? That's
That's the one he
replacement
told me he didn't have a time frame. It was supposed to be 2025,
That's 2025, no
Yeah.
month or anything yet.
but I would assume that's probably gonna get pushed out to 2026 because the first one was supposed to be done and started the end of 2023. And it doesn't look like it's gonna get started until September of 2024.
And then 916, that's what's
So
going.
that will be the one that we look to do this year. Now, again, if we can get a remount sooner, we'll probably remount 521, and then keep this one until one of those other new ones are available at that point.
Okay, I follow you.
And then 431, now it has, as you can tell, it's a 2019 model. It has 123,000 miles on it, but that's not actual mileage because we replaced the engine on it. I want to say it was about 80,000 we replaced the engine. And that was from a situation that they thought was a warranty type issue, so they replaced it themselves. So in all honesty, it's probably only got about 50 to 60,000 miles on the engine.
Okay. 4394.
4394, it's got kind of the same 62,000 miles on it.
Okay.
Have no have much issues with that. And then this 2081 is a 2 years old.
Okay.
And it's got about the same. So we used to try to rotate them through stations because mostly the Ferguson crew and the Du Bois crew took a lot of the long distance transfers, so we see more mileage on those trucks. We went to a transfer rotation now, so all the stations do transfers. So now we're starting to see kind of an even pattern of mileage getting put on all the trucks. So, and of course, you know, as they get older, we try to put the mileage on the older ones, but yet then that's kind of a catch-22 because then you have more issues and then need to repair things. So it's kind of a,
Okay, so we would need to do the additional appropriation for the repairs, and then, can you just touch on, I think you brought up to the commissioners, to order another one, we wait till 2024 then?
so there was money budgeted in the budget, in the 2024 budget for a new or a remount.
Okay,
And I think we're probably leaning towards the remount at this point.
okay,
Because that can get us, they can start on that in August versus waiting longer.
okay. I thought you were gonna, maybe I,
Posey County just got one from this company, and there was a fire district up north that got one. And I think that was their third or fourth one that they had done. And so they really didn't have any, I think the complaint Posey County had was they didn't hook the antenna up to the radio, so they had to do that after the fact. And then the one up north, it was timing issues. You know, they kind of got pushed back, and so their only complaint was it took a little longer than what they thought to get it. For the most part, that's really the only two complaints that we've heard from. We asked for references from that company, and so they gave us to them, but we knew Posey County was getting theirs already, so we knew that. But yeah, I would like to have it and be able to try it a little bit, but I don't know that.
So it's a second remount to speed up the process.
Yes.
Plus, it's, what's the savings roughly, remount versus new?
It's about 50 to
60,
60,000.
that's what I thought.
Somewhere. Basically, you're not paying for the metal for the new box, but they strip the whole box out and then they reuse stuff that they think is reusable. Stuff that they don't, they replace.
perfect.
I know one of them, like the seat, they were going to upholster a seat for us because the seat had a tear in it. If the seat's fine, they just take it out and put it back in.
So this 15,000, will this just be a consensus that I have to advertise, or
It's already been advertised.
can we can pass it, so guess we better, I don't know. Anybody got any other questions for Ryan? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve that 15,000.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Darrell will make a motion, I have a second.
I'll second.
Sonia is second. So any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you for the explanation and the time. Tom, oh, he's not here tonight.
Yeah.
Do you want to say something here? Introduce yourself, or, I'm sorry.
I'm AJ Crowley. I'm a Boy Scout, and I'm trying to earn my Eagle.
Good.
And what boundaries were you on? Citizenship in the community. So he had to attend a community meeting for a little bit tonight. We have to skip out early because he has a Boy Scout meeting as well, so. But we really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for coming. I
That's
should have
great.
maybe
Thank you.
said something to you sooner, but thank you.
No, it's okay.
Thank you for showing interest.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, the sheriff couldn't be here, he had an appointment he had to attend out of town, so. I'm Jesus Morris, I'm the chief deputy for the Dubois County Sheriff's. Good afternoon, members of the council. I'm here today to ask for funding for 3 positions. We were unfortunate to have been denied the COPS grant. Frankly, this conversation would have been a lot easier if we got it. These 3 positions are unique in their own way and will have a major impact in our community. The first position that I will talk to you about will be for a social worker / police officer. This is the first position of its own. I have looked all over the state and no other position like it exists. What's a social worker? Social worker helps individuals, groups, and families prevent and cope with problems in their everyday lives. This position will consist of an officer having the background and all the basics of a deputy sheriff, but their main priority and focus will be social work. Mental health is a big problem that we're faced with. This position will alleviate some of the workload the officers encounter with mental health. Again, with that being said, I will return in January for approval for this position. I'm proposing that in January, during our meeting, we pilot this program that may start in January or in February, all the way up until June 29th. If this position continues to thrive, the first of 3 grant payments will pick it up. The first payment would be $25,000. The second would be the second year of $71,000, I believe. And the third year, which would be the final year, would be $74,000. On the 4th year, we would pick the cost 100%. I spoke with Lena Hackett, who is with Community Solutions. She's also on JRAC. Is that right, Sandy? And our way of not subletting, is that the proper term? Supplanting, yes, would be to make this a pilot program for the next 6 months until the grant would be available. And again, we'll return in January and we can talk in the meantime between now and then on any questions that you might have on that. The 2 additional positions that I am seeking funding today that were not funded by the COPS grant, these positions will be deployed as part of the narcotics interdiction team in our continued war on the drugs in Dubois County. The purpose of this team is to conduct drug interdiction to stop, prevent the sale, production, and distribution of illegal drugs. The team will work with confidential informants, control buys, and many other things. Our mission is to stop the flow of drugs entering our county. I believe the commissioners have already approved these 2 positions for pending if we had funding from the grant. I'm asking you to fund these positions. I believe I spoke with Sandy and they will be money left over from this year's budget, and we can never tell the future, but hopefully, I believe in the future of next year, we should have money in the budget left over as well to fund these positions. The initial startup cost of each deputy is between $80,000 and $100,000. I believe the cost goes down after the first year, because after the first year, we don't have to get in the initial startup cost, which would be their uniforms, their guns, their rifles, their vest, and everything else. So I believe after year 1, then the cost would go down, because then we just have to maintain their salary and their benefits.
Which is what? The new position would be at what level?
It would be
Salary?
The salary would be the same as a regular road deputy, because they're not getting promoted, they're just getting reassigned to the position of narcotics officer.
You know what that is?
Whatever first class deputy makes, I'm not sure.
Should be on the minutes.
So we have the new deputy pending grant approval is
That's by week.
bi-weekly $2,332.84. $29.03 an hour.
He's not the master deputy, which most people are anymore. Starting deputy is 62,103. And the master deputy, we kind of question about $64,023. And plus benefits.
I thought when we reviewed this summer, it was more like 153,000 startup cost.
So that would be with a vehicle. So an additional vehicle would be around $45,000 to $50,000. But since we held on to some of the vehicles, so we didn't have to trade in, that's what we're saving those $50,000. We're gonna give them a vehicle that we already have on fleet versus buying a brand new one.
That's still gonna be a cost though.
What do you mean?
They won't run for free,
Correct,
you know what I mean? And they're gonna eventually have to be replaced.
correct. This is not their first year.
Did you get feedback on writing cops grant? We didn't get that.
So I did talk to Tara, grants writer, and there's a glitch in the system. When she submitted the form, there's one of the pages where she had a glitch on it. She went ahead and redid it again, and again got to that page, and there was a glitch. She submitted a ticket to the federal government, to the grants people, and about a week later, they said everything's fine, everything's filled out correctly, blah, 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 blah. 6 months later, we get denied the grant, so she did an inquiry of it, and she was told that she didn't fill out the form properly. We tried to appeal it, but the money's already gone. She has a chain of where she submitted the ticket, where they replied that everything was fine and dandy, and there was, I guess, it just got dropped in the loophole for the reason why we didn't get the grant.
Some counties or places got a lot of officers in it.
Correct.
Did I read like a 10 or a 22 somewhere? Or?
There's about 4 departments in the city of Vienna that got it. Vincent's, I think, got 4, and there's another city up north that got 11 officers. So that was the reason why I was upset why we didn't get it. We only asked for 2, and other departments are getting 11, but it was that glitch in the system. Again, she's got the chain that she submitted the ticket, where it's showing her that everything's fine, but again, the money's already due enough, there's nothing that they can do.
Were they planning to do it again for 2024?
I'm hopeful that they will. As soon as that happens, I will definitely let the council know.
So you don't think it's a ranking issue for our county being safe or whatever? It's more of just a technical issue on the application?
Correct. It's a $250,000 glitch. I guess that was sick to my stomach.
Well, I think that this was kind of interesting because we've kind of approved it contingent on the grant, right?
Right.
And the commissioners approved it, again, contingent on funding, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're in that pickle now. We're back to where we were last year. So we're back to that point where, like we discussed, with the data and all the homework we've done, I'm still needing those 2 or 3 officers based on that data. So I don't know where it would go with all those contingencies.
Well, let's start out with the social worker. you're saying it's a pilot program now.
Correct.
But we still cannot put permanent financing to that, permanent funding.
You can't, correct, and that's why
We
you would,
cannot, right?
you cannot permanent, that's why you would be a pilot program up until June 19th.
Okay, so what we as a council would have to come up with a way of funding that.
Correct.
You know, so that's something we don't know tonight, so there's no way we're gonna make that decision.
Correct, and that's why I'll be back next month, and hopefully between now and then, we can talk and explore that position a little bit more and the funding behind it.
Right. I'd like to, I would really like, you know, I got that same email from Lena, and I would really like to do the planning and the implementation, the 6 months it's gonna take to do that before we make any kind of move. That's my opinion, but I don't know what the rest of the council.
I believe we can make that move now and then wait for the.
I know we can, but I'm just saying, as a member of the council, I'm not in favor of it. I wanna do the planning and implementation of that grant, so we don't jeopardize that grant in any way, shape, or form. That's my opinion, and everybody else, let's just take that one first. So if anybody else got any discussion,
I agree. I would hate to jeopardize losing all of that grant money. I feel we need to make sure we get everything in line how it needs to be before we just jump in and then lose that grant.
I like the idea of the pilot. I think it's good that we're trying something. I'm surprised that we're a pilot of this, that there's not more of this, to be honest.
We'd have to create our own pilot program.
but I think you're misunderstanding this. We're doing this for 6 months, we're gonna fund it, and then if it's successful, but we can do it with the grant money. Here, we're gonna use our own money. That's, you know, pilot that's just an interpretation of a temporary position.
We would fund it out of our pocket for 6
Right.
months, and then the grant would take it over for the next.
But why not do the planning that?
What we're basically saying is, we want this to be eventually a permanent position, but because we don't want to jeopardize grant fund, we're gonna reword it. And that's something that kind of scares me. To jeopardize our grant, that if we are gonna make this a permanent position, I don't understand why creating a pilot program to make it a temporary position when that's not the intent anyway. And I'm kind of weary on the grant, seeing that and saying, no, taking it away because of that. I don't want to jeopardize that. I mean, if we're going to make this a full position, then I think we need to follow what the grant is wanting us to do. If that's what we're going to do, because I honestly don't believe that we can fund all of these positions with the amount of spending that we're doing at this point with new positions in the last year or two. And I've passed on that information, and I still believe that our budget will not continue to fund all these the way we're spending. Unless we do something drastic.
And my other comment is, I am not against this social work. I think this is a great idea. But we've talked about this since you went to some school. It's been 2 years probably.
Correct.
And what's another 6 months to get this right? That's my thinking. We get a 2.5 year or 3 year grant that's going to put us on the right road here. And this may not be the only one that we want to do this with, but I think it's a great idea. I just don't agree with the method of doing it without, that we know we got this grant in our pocket. Why do we want to jeopardize?
I respect.
That's my thinking.
And can I ask as well, I don't think that I've ever been clear enough out of this subject, so please tell me. I don't understand what parameters, I guess, are in place at that 6 month point to know like whether or not we've been successful, because anyone can say whether or not we had and whether that should keep going. Do you know what I mean? How do you like, what metrics, I guess, do we use to determine that pilot has been successful?
And then we jump right into the program, that these people have probably given a lot of thought to.
Mm-hmm.
So if that makes the council comfortable, we can wait till June and plan it up from starting next month, and we can be in talks and maybe pilot the program ourselves or plan for it, and then hopefully kickstart it in June then.
Yes, because I was at the council meeting, or the commissioners meeting there, and I don't know for sure if the permanent job description is permanently written through the HR department, what we want this person to do. And, I think we have to work, to me, as a team to make this successful. If we're one of the leaders in the state of doing this, I mean, when you watch these programs, it's important. These social workers are important.
And it's hard to put a job description on it because it's going to be a developing position, because we don't know what we will know until we get deep into it. And like I told the commissioners, in 3 years, I can tell you exactly what the job description will be, but as we're the first innovative of making that position, we know what the basics are going to be, but we don't know what the future holds and how that position is going to develop itself.
But I think we need to have a framework made up already of what
I believe we do.
need to have, and a job description already made up and all that stuff, so that we know going into it what to expect and how to evaluate. That's just my thoughts, though. I think we need to.
I mean, that's a great idea. I think we do need that framework, because, we want this person to be what the social workers.
We want her to be, her or him to be as successful as possible and know exactly what they're expected to do and, what they can do and
I believe they will be successful. Like I said, we've needed them 10 years ago. And tomorrow, I already have work ready for them to start with our citizens and our people. I know one of the things is mental health. If you had a friend that made an appointment for their daughter, and they told them, we'll get you in 6 weeks. Well, some people don't have 6 weeks. In 6 weeks, they made a decision a long-term decision for a short-term problem. And unfortunately, sometimes just having that person there hear you out and listen to you, that's all they need. So.
Can you explain again, they would have the regular, duties as any other deputies?
Correct, they would have the background.
But with that, I just want to make sure I'm understanding it's not just based on titles. Is there a set of like clinical experience that they have as a social worker that they just have added on top of that? That's what I'm not clear about.
Correct. So if you're a civilian and as a social worker, I'm not going to send you in somewhere that there's potential of harm or dangerous. As an officer, I am going to send you there because that's what you're expected to do. You got the basic backgrounds of how to defend yourself, how to take situation into control, how to do
They have an
that.
actual social work degree on top of that, is what you're saying?
I believe, yes.
Okay.
The commissioner said one of the requirements would be they have to have a master's in social work.
Okay, a master's level. All right. Thank you.
And then they go to the police academy also?
Correct. Again, they're basic. It's just like the military. Everybody's a soldier. It's just what your specialty is going to be after that. But again, they're going to have that basic grounds and knowledge of defending themselves and use a gun, how to defuse situations and everything else.
Okay.
So what do you foresee as far as what placement they are at? Are they going to be are we going to have to create a new designation as far as, master sergeant or whatever, as far as that, because they're going to have to have their master's degree, and then they're also going to go to the academy. So they're going to be a deputy, but they have to have a master's in a specific field. So I don't find that's very fair to pay them just deputy pay when they have these extra credentials attached onto and they can do extra things. So is that something that we're looking at? What's that?
I said they're going to go into the realm of a detective. So they're above master deputy pay, so they would be at a detective.
Commissioner said at MPOL 2, I believe.
I just didn't know what the new position's name designation was going to be.
We don't want to
or is it
create
going to be within one that's already?
Yeah, it's just going to go
specific.
to detective's pay.
Okay, so you're in agreement, then we would hold off until, and do research and try to get this person on board in June.
It's in the door if
As soon
you
as the
don't
money's
have it.
available. The planning may go quicker possibly, but I think they're projecting 6 months.
Correct. I think June 30th is when they'll release the money to us.
Is that right? So that date's set. Okay, I didn't know that.
That's the right thing to do. Play it safe.
So, okay, so we're in agreement on that. So let's talk about the 2 COP grant that we didn't get to deputies. I think, I kind of polled, we didn't have it in our minutes, but I thought we all agreed that we could not fund those positions unless we got a cost, for the 2 officers. And maybe you correct me if I'm wrong, that's the way we understood it. I thought, I know it got late during our budget hearing. Whatever time.
They were contingent on successful application for the COPS grant.
Right.
So the way I see this is that those were contingent positions, so at this point, since the COPS grant failed, those need to be pulled out of the budget. Those 2 contingency positions need to be pulled from the budget. I know we rescinded or whatever the exact words for that, so that there's no gray area. Then next year, I don't have a problem if we feel that that there's COPS grants are coming. I think would need to be reinitiated, and then we need to have that discussion again at the time. If at that point in time, when there's the possibility of a COPS grant out there, then we need to decide if we want, if at that point we can fund those positions, contingent on the COPS grant. Now, I think what might make things simpler, I know there was some confusion the last time when the COPS grant, who should apply for them, who shouldn't, and I believe you hired an individual to do the grant funding, and I think that needs to probably be initiated in-house, whether it's through the commissioners, I guess, would be that way we take no chances that, I'm not blaming the person that they did anything wrong or whatever. But if we make sure and that gets initiated through the commissioners and everybody knows, everybody's on board, and if they approve the positions, then we'll have to have that discussion whether or not that we want to fund 2 more positions contingent on the grant funding. But I think under current environment, whether it would be prosecutor's office, sheriff's department, probation, whomever it is, right now, when the federal government's out still printing money, we need to probably not create any position without grant funding tied to it. We need to be looking to utilize grant funding before we create any new positions, would be my personal opinion on this. That stuff's gonna all dry up and, current conditions change, 6 months, they might look totally different down the road. Maybe everything is great and we're rolling along again, or maybe, we've fallen off the cliff. But that would be my interpretation, is those were just temporary, those were approved contingent to funding, so they need to come out of the budget. And then if there's COPS grants come next spring, then that needs to be, you need to work through the commissioners or wherever, apply for those grants, and then they need to be put in the budget for 2025 and approach it from that point of view, would be my thought.
And that's why I believe, sorry.
Oh, no.
That's why I believe that we're falling behind even more. That's why I'm asking for these 2 positions not to be pulled out of the budget and to be funded out of the general fund. And the next year, I was gonna ask for 2025, if the grants are available in 2024, apply for 2 additional positions for 2025. These are the last 2 positions, along with the social worker, that we will ask for 2024. We won't come back for more deputies until 2025, contingent that the COPS grants available in 2024. Because again, we're falling behind. Every year that we don't add people, we're falling behind more and more and more. Again, I know money's being printed in DC and everything, but crime doesn't stop. So actually it goes up. Times are getting harder and crimes are only getting bigger.
So your plan is to create 6 new positions then, basically?
5.
We funded 1 position in April already.
If we're counting county.
Now, and if we're looking at potentially a deputy social worker, that's two. Two more, just, you want us to create just because here in 2024 yet, and then two more for 2025, that would be 6.
That's just because there's a need for those positions with our department.
I know, I'm not trying to minimize anything, but I'm just trying to make sure so we're clear. I think we need to utilize grant funding whenever possible, because we don't have the ability to print money. We have to live within our means. I know, we just funded $100,000 for the Lucas devices, which I think those are also very important very important devices, to help. I was on scene of a situation where you were actually doing the CPR yourself, which hopefully those are gonna be helping with that. So, I mean, there's, just because we haven't, if we didn't fund these 2 positions because we didn't get the contract to help, doesn't mean that there's not other directions we're being pulled in. So I'm just wanting to make sure we're all clear.
Correct. I think after talking to Sam.
I didn't realize you were planning on coming back in 2025 for another 2 positions. I thought these 2 positions were what would get you to the point where you needed. That's what I was under the understanding. These social worker and the other 2 positions were what you guys felt.
Let me ask this, suppose the COPS grant had gone through and then we had agreed that those would be funded based upon that. So then that was our agreement, and then we would move forward with that. Would you still, even with that knowledge, have planned to come back in 2024 to ask for an additional 2?
For 2025, under that grant, yes.
Under that grant?
Under that grant,
Okay.
yes.
So then what you're asking for then today would be to fund them, even though we didn't receive the COPS grant, and just being crystal
Correct.
clear.
Yes.
Fully fund on our
Fully
own.
fund on our own. I think what's really, really hard about this is that, maybe we made a mistake in doing so was, putting that line item in the budget, even though, we hadn't heard that from that yet. Is that that may have been where we could have improved on the situation, but if we were to look back, I remember the same as what Daryl did, that it was based on that, so.
When we had the discussion at that point in time, I think we had the discussion whether it was better off to have it in and pull, and I think it doesn't.
A lot of it's just
matter much.
paperwork, I realize, but still, that gives that appearance, I guess, of feeling that we were going to fund it, whenever we said it was only contingent.
And I kind of thought we'd get it. I didn't think we'd be denied.
That part too. I think that we were all feeling certain about that. The paperwork's no joke. Coming from a former life and a former role, I had to do quite a bit of that credentialing piece, medical wise, and it is, if you check a box, or you missed one, you don't win. I mean, it really is. So I'm very sensitive to that. I hate that it did not go through for that reason, but.
Now, I do want to mention, we're about finished with building the jail, so our CNR tax will be more available next year when we do budgets.
So that's what I believe where the funds are coming, whatever we have left over from this year's general fund, and then the tax or those additional money coming in for next year, that will be able to continue to fund those 2-3 positions.
I know Jesus and I sat down and looked at the opioid, and that's just really not an option. There's not enough there to fund people.
Correct.
Okay.
Can I ask you, the amount of, you're saying the general fund, what didn't get spent? It seems like we keep appropriating money for the jail and that kind of thing. How would there be that much money that you could fund 2 officers?
I think you're talking about unspent, not like in my department. If I don't spend all my budget, things roll back. But that, you can't really count on every department to fund just your department in the future.
Correct.
But I think that's what you're referring to is our unused money at the end of a grant year. That comes back to county general. But then when you do that, you base your additional appropriations the next year, and then you also use your money to budget for the following year. So it's a constant rotation.
So are you making a statement? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, in some years, some of the budgets, like I showed, are in the negative. Some years they're in the positive. So, we're not always going to have that surplus to that extra $200,000, $300,000, $600,000 surplus at the end of these 6 new positions to fund them till forever, you know, and we're not gonna be able to use the CR tax for forever. It's gonna end, you know, at some point, so we need to figure out another permanent solution instead of the, you know, and I know getting these grants and everything is a good start and that helps out, but we also need to talk about a permanent funding mechanism for these new positions, because we've created how many positions in the last 5 years? Like 20 or so new positions. So that's the strain on the budget right there. And we're wanting to continue to add more. The research I've done, it's going to be hard to continue adding new positions. I don't disagree with you. I agree that it's a needed thing, but we need to figure out a permanent solution to it to be able to fund it. You know,
What was the value of the COPS grant? What was it supposed to be?
250,000.
So 125 apiece.
Correct.
I don't see how some of these areas were able to add 11 new positions. That's over $1 million
And that is good.
per year that they're adding on themselves, not even including the grant. So
There has to be a ranking system, doesn't there? I mean,
I'm not sure how they do it. That's why, again, that's why I was upset and asked them why we didn't get it, and that's the only response we got. If we wouldn't knock out for whatever reason, I would still would ask why we didn't get it, if there was a ranking method or what was the reasons behind it.
So they didn't give any reason whatsoever. And
Other
we
than the
just had to
glitch.
assume that it was a glitch.
And I take this seriously, and that makes me really nervous. Like, you know, Doug said, we have to, even with the grants, we have to be able to fund these long-term. But I really think it's prudent to wait and at least not let that $250,000 get out of the table. I mean, when do the potential COPS grants come out? When did you apply for this one last year?
I think in the spring.
Was it the spring?
Right.
So I
Usually
mean-
federal stuff comes around October, that's when their fiscal year is. So that's why you wait till October to hear from them,
Okay.
that's their fiscal year.
I just hate to end up, irregardless if we should or if we shouldn't, to approve two positions and then come to find out 3 months from now, we left $250,000 on the table.
But at that point, I'll need 2 additional officers at that point for 2025.
I still didn't get my question answered. The general fund, you're saying that can fund 2 officers. Is that county-wide or is that out of the jail system?
Countywide, am I wrong?
Okay, county-wide.
Correct.
Okay, well, that's different. You know, that's different because, you know, that's taken we have an emergency or have to hire someone else like we did the translator and, you know, then we don't have the money to do that. You know, that's why I think, I don't think that would carry any weight with me. But I guess my other question would, and Ryan, you did most of this, you know, you assisted or led that committee to determine how many officers we needed in DuBois County compared to other counties. And I thought we were right there with by putting on the deputy we put on, and that now if we put on this social worker deputy,
We'd be one short.
that's what I'm saying. I don't see where we come up with 6 officers. That's why, I don't know, I guess we're gonna have to do a little more research and you know, I'm not really prepared to make any kind of decision like that tonight. I mean, I think there's too many ifs. And then this COPS grant thing, you know, I guess you put it pretty well, but you know, on the COPS grant, you know, the auditor wasn't even part of that process. You know, I just think we jumped the gun or what, I don't know if it was I don't know, and I don't want to belittle whoever put it together, but I just think we need to make a concentrated effort to see where we went wrong and to get that properly filled out for this coming year.
And it was a computer glitch. Like I said, we hired a professional to do it. And
Why
it
didn't
was just-
the auditor get involved? You know, she's the one who leads the grants and the money. Her name wasn't even mentioned in the grant. So I mean, there's something off base here.
Correct, there's a lot of miscommunication there, which Danny and I have talked about it since then.
Okay, so I hope we got that corrected. But, I think, I would not be in favor of doing 2 officers. I mean, if we said 2 officers, one of them would be the social worker deputy and the other, possibly the other one, but I would not be in favor of going with 2 officers. I don't see, I think, Doug, you'd have to help us again, like you did at budget time. And, I think you're pretty, you did a good job there explaining, why we can't afford this. I mean, I know safety is.
I can look at the numbers more closely too and see what more recent years have shown, because I went back 12 years.
Because,
But I can see. what-
we pushed these raises up, which we were above and beyond most of the cities and towns around. So, I mean, I don't know if we can, we were hoping we can digest that, within our budget. That's what it's concerning to me. Because I think, we have a slowdown in the economy. And, we all seen what happened to when property tax assessments went up. That, people are getting, taxpayers and citizens are getting upset. I don't know.
And I know we offered that solution about the public tax, and that would be a permanent way to fund it, I believe.
But like Mike just said, the public is very upset about the raising of taxes, and then we add another tax on top of it again.
I think if you would ask for public safety, they'd be in support of it.
Okay.
But when everything was going on with around the world, everything turned upside down, this county, we were shielded from that. And that was because our lovely community, they still respect and love law enforcement and public safety. 90% of your fire departments here in our county are volunteer firemen that give up their Sundays or Tuesdays, they're sleeping in the middle of the night, and I believe public safety is very loved here in our county, so I would think that people would support it. We live in a jewel of a county compared to when we're in the state. And there's a price to pay for that, unfortunately. It's just not by coincidence.
Are we picking up, is the county being burdened disproportionately? Or is the state police, are they adding people in the area? Or, the other city departments, or, because you guys have to end up taking all the calls because the state police are nowhere to be found when there's issues. So are we just assuming extra burden and extra duties, and everybody's letting us pick up the extra duty? I don't know if the cities are the same way.
I can't speak for state police, but I can speak for our community. When you pick up the phone, dial 911, it's going to be a sheriff's deputy that comes to your door. If you're in the city of Jasper, you're going to have a Jasper police officer respond. So I don't know if that answers your question. If Jasper City would need help, it's us county coming over to help them. If Verdon needs help because they don't have enough officers, we're the ones going over there. So essentially, we're the big brother of the county. We're going to respond regardless of how many people we have. I don't know if that's taking more burden or not, but I believe it's the right thing to do. I can't speak for state police because I don't know what their mission statement is. I don't know how they operate. I know they're a great assistant agency, but as a primary agency, I don't believe that's what they're intended for.
Any other comments? Does anybody want to move on this tonight, or if we want a little more time to think about it? Not all talk at once.
I mean, again, I hate it, but I think if we said that it was contingent based upon that, then I take that.
I agree with that, so, I think we just, if you want to come again, which will probably be here next month, but I just think tonight I'm not ready to make any kind of move on that and change that, because I had on my agenda that could rescind that money for next year, so.
That's what I want to do. I don't want to come here every month and continue to do the same thing. So if we definitely can work and be ready for the next meeting, we're definitely open to that. But I don't want to come in every meeting and beat a dead horse, essentially.
I don't want you.
And I don't want you guys want that either.
because that started January last year, and by then, it gets old. But right now, I mean, unless somebody wants to make a motion to change it, I don't know. I had on my agenda, we were gonna rescind it, or, I was gonna at least talk about it tonight.
I think those need to be rescinded, and then we need to, grant money needs to be tied to any new positions, in my opinion.
Okay,
With that,
I agree with that. So, I appreciate you coming in tonight. I think the appropriations, do we have?
While he's here, I've got a couple of appropriations that the sheriff requested last meeting.
Correct.
I have 40,000 for jail medical and jail utilities, which was broken down to medical 10,000, utilities 30,000.
10,000, what was that?
10,000 for jail medical, 30,000 for for the utilities out there.
Is he budget enough for next year in the utilities? Because we just did utilities last month.
That was for,
We approved it.
you
Oh, we
talked
approved
about
it.
it. This is, we actually,
it's the same.
Okay.
it's the same, yeah, he talked about it last time. This is actually,
Yeah. This is not new, this is what we talked about.
it's the same discussion.
So, how do we want to do these? I don't.
I have the jail medical and utilities all together under $40,000 under county general.
So anybody want to make a motion, any other discussion on that? I think
We talked about
it a lot.
So anybody want to make a motion on that 40? Is it 40 or 45?
40,000.
40.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, so any other discussion? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay.
And then the other one is out of cum cap jail operating, $10,000.
That's the one I had a question. Do you know what that is, that jail operating? Does anybody remember? I didn't make, I thought I made a note on that, but it just, is there a, I couldn't figure out.
It's capital outlay, so it's gotta be bigger equipment or
Was it
computers, it can be copiers, it can be, it's equipment that's,
I mean, I just had,
Yeah, last meeting. but
I just had to make sure. That's okay. I mean, the sheriff I thought he went through it, but he didn't write down what why that $10,000, that's one, so.
No, it says,
Okay, so let's move on. I don't, it's appropriate, I'm sure, because he explained it. So anybody want to make a motion on, do you have it?
It just says, I just have other operating $10,000.
And I think it was maybe because of the move, from over.
I know there's a lot of cost.
it could be furniture, it could be anything, it's something big,
So,
or bigger items, I should
Was
say.
that part of like the EMA? Maybe they're part of that?
see, they had to move, when they moved the community corrections people out of the jail pod, then they moved the inmates in, and then you guys had to set up in that rec area.
Correct.
That's where.
No, there was a lot of movement around
Yeah.
there. And
I think they had to get computers hooked up, and
Internet and stuff, running cables and everything.
so I think, sorry, that probably rings a bell right there. So anybody want to make a motion now, $10,000?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Doug has made a motion, you have a second?
I'll second.
Ryan has seconded, so any other discussion? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We're running a little behind, but thank you for taking the time.
That's for the 2 additional positions, right?
Out of cum cap, I don't think so.
If you can get them for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Chelsea.
That's okay.
I'm coming up and introducing
She likes
yourself.
spending her money like that.
You got here
I
early,
do.
you got here early and you get to stay late.
I know, I have a 6:30 class too, so I'm gonna talk super fast.
Okay.
And hopefully there are no questions, because I'm so good at my job. I have 2 requests for you tonight. The first one is permission to attend the Extension Leadership Conference in February of 2024. A registration for early bird financing is open now, so I'd like to use this year's money from professional development to attend that conference. The theme is leadership every day. You learn all sorts of leadership techniques for not only working as a team within Extension, but also in the greater community. So I love the opportunity to attend that. Registration cost is $450. It would be 3 nights in the hotel that they provide transportation to and from. That's $200 a night. And then airfare, if I book now, I can get it for less than $300. I do have all of that money still in my budget for this year, so I would not need any additional money from there.
She, and last year in your budget, you told her she had to come for any out-of-state travel,
Yes.
so that's why she's here.
That's why I'm here asking to spend this money that I have.
How much are you
No
asking
additional.
for? 1,500 about for food or?
Plus airplane.
Yeah, plus or minus, something like that. It all depends on, you know, the day you book it and what it actually costs that day. But when I was doing
You're the
research,
only one that's going.
I'm the only one going.
Where is this at?
Tampa, Florida.
And what is the dates on that?
February 14th and 15th
February.
of 2024. But like I said, they opened the early bird registration now, so I'd love to get in on that now before that price goes up.
Okay, so anybody, any other questions on that? We want to approve these separately, I guess, because you've got.
I've got some
Yeah,
transfers to
transfers.
talk about too.
So, anybody, otherwise I'll make a motion to, if you don't have any other discussion, I'll make a motion to approve that for this to kind of.
Hated the early bird.
Yes, exactly. I've been waiting.
Second, so any other discussion?
Who seconded it?
I did.
I think Doug did.
You first? Okay.
So all in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed? So,
Thank
no,
you.
let's go. Yeah, I think it's good to do that. I think we talked about it, a year ago when you didn't use it, this past year, so I
Yeah.
think that's good.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. I'm excited. Never been, so it's an opportunity. A couple of transfer requests coming through. We did adopt a new financial system through Purdue where we are all electronic now. We don't have a checkbook anymore. And that's causing some heartache as far as invoices, because every time we use a purchasing card, we send that transaction to Campus. Campus writes the invoice, we get it back. They are currently 3 months behind. So it's causing a little bit of heartache for Diane and soon to be Sandy. She doesn't know this yet. That's the first time I'm telling her. But we're going to need to transfer some money around and then encumber funds when it does come that time. And I'll work with Sandy with that. But my first transfer request is $406.69 from that professional development line.
Actually, I've done a few changes.
Okay.
You had
Please.
money going into supplies and then coming back out, so I kind of changed some
Okay,
of that.
yeah, I'm not sure why I caught that.
So-
afterwards. I wasn't sure why
Yeah.
Diane did that, but.
I kind of did some streamlining to make it not go
Thank
up
you.
and back and up and back.
Okay.
So,
So we just need moving to permanent equipment from that line?
I moved what I could that didn't need their approval. So that's already done. So some of these are already finished. But what I need a permission for is to move $1,405.88 from supplies to other services. And I need $305.84 from other services to capital outlay.
Yes.
Other than that, I've got everything else done.
Okay.
Because it was within the same category, so they don't have to approve that.
Yes, I did catch that afterwards. So the movement to capital outlay was for storage shelves for our storage room. We needed a couple more, and then new folding tables that will kind of like actually fold in half because none of us have a 6-foot long car. So we couldn't actually take those with us. We needed the fancy kind that folds in half that would actually fit in our car. So we did purchase one of those. So that's the movement to the capital outlay. The other transfer was we got a new copier last year. We used to have to buy toner cartridges, so we had a lot of money in our office supplies. Now we have a contract with Hoosier Business Machines, and they manage all of our printer, toner. They charge us per page for color printing. So we will need to move some money from office supplies into repairs where that contract comes out of. But for this year, we're needing to just transfer that money, and then I'll come back in January and ask for an appropriation to our budget for 2024 to not have to do this transfer every single year, but the money's just in the wrong place right now.
You need two separate motions.
One.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Doug has made a motion and Alex is second. Any other discussion? Okay, so all in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right.
All right, thank you.
Major class here.
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry, I should have let you know this,
No,
but I
that's
thought
okay.
it was easier than.
I caught it late in the day whenever I sat down and actually started punching numbers and I thought, oh, dang, we're overthinking it.
Well, I see what she was doing, it just,
Yeah.
I made it.
I think that's how she was keeping it straight, her mind.
I tried to do it simple.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry to kind of abrupt, but I kind of
Thank
figured
you.
it's cut and dry.
Have a good evening.
You know,
It's okay.
Okay. What's next?
Appointments.
I think we got the Jared Bramble spot. Don't we?
Well, I've got a couple of things here if you want me to
You go
continue.
ahead. Yeah, I think that's,
I've got a couple of additional appropriations.
yeah, let's just do that before we get into the rest of it.
I just don't have a lot of notes here, so you're gonna have to let me go a little bit slower. The health insurance we talked about last time as an emergency for 500,000 out of lit ed fund.
Right. There again, these are the kind of things that scare you, you know what I'm saying, as far as, you know, the health insurance. We can't get, it seems like we can't get enough in our budget to pay for this.
Now, I do have to say, from last month when I was paying a lot because it was the end of our year for our health insurance, we have slowed down a little bit. So I'm hoping not to use this, plus to get some of that money back, the stop loss money back. But it is the end of the year. We want more people to go to the doctor to finish up their deductibles are made.
Okay.
You said 500,000?
500,000 out of lit ed.
I mean, it may not, like she's saying, it may not be that.
I'm hoping not to use it all,
She's
but
gotta pay for it as it comes in.
But then we get X amount
And then someone's
back.
gonna get reimbursed.
well, our plan year starts November 1st. So in October, they try to get everything up there as much as they can. And then if anybody's over our $80,000 stop loss, we get some of that money back from our stop loss insurance. And we've had a lot of big claims this year. So I'm hoping some of that money will start trickling back. And then when it goes into our fund, I don't have to fund things because that's there.
So anybody like an individual that's over $80,000.
Yes. And I'm gonna use just you an example. Say, I'm gonna say you have a really bad cancer and you cost us $300,000 this year in insurance claims. That's over 80. So the reinsurance will give us money back from 80 all the way up. As long as we had everything paid by October 31st. That's why we pushed to put a lot of money up there in October.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Because it's kind of hard to even budget.
Now.
You know.
Right, our plan year is.
Yeah, you're not gonna know.
Our insurance plan year is November 1 through October 31st, but our deductible is calendar year, if that makes sense. So in October, I'm sending a lot of money because they're pushing through all the claims they can to get those. You don't want to leave anything on the table.
And then November, December, you're just hoping to get some of that back.
Yes, which I have gotten a little bit back and I'm hoping to get more. But I have to fund in the event I don't get it.
And that's, you know, I mean, what she's explaining is why I gave kind of an emergency thing to go ahead and get it advertised, you know what I'm saying? So that's why we're where we're at. Otherwise, we'd be.
Because
by the
right
time
now,
we needed for our meeting, it wouldn't, we'd be.
I think right now I've had to spend about 300,000 of that to get our claims paid.
The part that's making me nervous is about, you know, previous discussions in the evening. You know, $500,000 can disappear just like that out of our budget.
Exactly.
Unexpected expenses.
$5 million is not much anymore.
Not when you're sending 200,000 to 300,000 a month up there for our claims. That's just, insurance is expensive.
So let's, do we need we're gonna do these individually, right? Approval.
Sorry.
Should we do?
I need just, because this is personal services, and it's,
So anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Ryan has made a motion, and a second. I'll second it. So, any other discussion? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
okay. The next one out of Lit Ed is I am in need of a little bit more money in computer maintenance. And I put down 50,000, I'm hoping not to use it all. Right now, it's the time of the year where I'm doing all of the renewals for our, what do you call it? Our contracts and our maintenance agreements. Like, just for an example, Office 365, it costs us about $30-some thousand to renew that every year for every person who has an email. That's just one cost that I have. And I do budget for that, and I think I'll make it. But I want to be prepared if I'm not.
How much per email? How much per email?
It costs me about $30,000 a year for all 200 people to have an email address, and we're adding more all the time.
But
That's your
Office-
licensing.
Office 365 is all your programs too.
Yeah.
That's your Windows, all your, yes, your product. It goes with that. But that's just one example. You know, we have Trend Micro, that's our antivirus. We have your server maintenance. All those maintenances are coming up. And
But does everybody have to have the license for the Office products? Or
if you got an email, you do.
So that comes as part of the package.
It's part of the
Could
deal.
there be a way to save? Yeah, I haven't, personally, I wouldn't need it, I guess is what I'm saying.
But if you have a county email, you have the product. That's the licensing. And I don't know, like my home, I do the same thing at home. I have a license and I gotta pay for it every year. That's just one example.
Sure. I got a Hotmail account. I'm gonna pay for it.
No, but I got like McAfee.
I got like.
But Trend Micro is one thing that we do, Trend, that's our anti-software. And you have your server maintenances and you have your licenses and you,
Any other discussion on that? Otherwise, I want to make a motion to approve that computer maintenance for 50,000.
Up to 50,000, because it may not be.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Okay, Ryan has made a motion. We have a second.
I'll second.
Sonia seconded, so any other discussion? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed?
it just seems like I'm constantly buying new computers and
Well,
new email licenses.
that's right.
As everybody else, you keep asking.
Hey, I can guarantee you if I don't need to spend it, I won't.
I'm just kidding.
That's one thing I promise you. I will not spend it if I don't
I
need to.
know, I was just kidding. I was just trying to say, well, let me in the evening.
Out of edit, Lit Ed, I say it wrong. Out of Lit Ed, I do have the capital outlay, $100,000 for the Lucas devices that we talked about.
So we discussed that.
Yeah.
So anybody?
I'll make the
any
motion.
comments there?
I'll second.
For that.
So we got a first, Ryan, and Carol made a second, so any other discussion? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
The prosecutor forfeiture fund, $1,450 for, out of capital outlay for a water cooler, water dispenser. They want to put one in back here, and Beth has said she would pay for that out of this forfeiture fund.
So is that just like a drinking fountain with a
It's
bottle?
the bottle filler in it.
That they put in?
Yeah, they want to put one back here.
Okay. So, any discussion there? She's using her own funds, so. So I'll entertain the motion to approve that $1,450.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay, Ryan has made a motion. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Darrell has seconded. So-
Everybody else, more
So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Yeah, Darrell.
Again?
Yeah.
Same order.
Keep up with me though.
Nice.
I think Ryan's trying to get a record here.
Charles Annex Maintenance, that's where the health department is. Scott would like to have $5,000 for maintenance to be used at that building.
Do you know why that is? You know, why? I mean, is it the changeover after 911?
That could be part of it.
Or why does he need it this year yet?
Well, that fund is a dedicated fund for the maintenance of that building.
Okay.
Let's see if I have any notes.
I mean, I'm not nitpicking, I'm curious.
This is Scott Hull for the health department or?
So the health department has a dedicated fund that they take rent from the WIC department and put it in maintenance, so it's maintenance to be used for that building. And he's wanting to appropriate $5,000.
He's in charge of that building. Scott, okay, I didn't know.
And you can't spend it without your appropriation, so.
Okay, well,
For maintenance and landscaping, he says. I think if I remember right, they want to get rid of the mulch, put rock down or something. I think that's what he said.
okay. Any discussion, or you guys are comfortable with that? Like I said, it's on the, so, okay, so let's change it up. I'll make a motion that we approve $5,000.
I'll second that.
And Meredith seconded. So, any other discussion? So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So it passes.
Yeah, getting closer. I have a couple of transfers. The Title 4D office would like to transfer $1,500 from office cleaning, trash, and lawn mowing to office supplies.
How much was that, $1,400?
$1,500.
And that is,
Mike Fritsch, I think, did he send you an email about that or something?
no, we didn't, I think. That's okay.
Because of additional expenses of our office move this year, their office supplies are depleted. However, they have excess money in cleaning, mowing, and trash. So he's requesting they be transferred to help with the costs through the year end. That's what he wrote.
Yeah, he mentioned stuff about that.
So, anybody?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Doug has made a motion to.
I'll second.
And Alex seconded. So any other discussion on that? Otherwise, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
In the general fund, Weights and Measures would like to move $400 from travel and mileage to equipment. And you know, he talked to me and I didn't write it down, but did Gary Saub send you an email?
I didn't get it.
I don't. He talked to me today about it.
So
The money's in their budget, they're just moving
for
it around.
travel and for mileage. and
He's
travel.
moving it from travel to equipment.
Okay. He must have to buy some kind of weights or something.
It's something so he can do something that the law just passed and he has to test something and this is the piece of
Test the
equipment that
octane
allows
of the
it.
gas. He was talking about testing the octane of the gas at one time.
Did you get through an email or something like that?
I can get it.
Oh,
But anyway,
I know those little plates are really expensive.
yeah,
I could call him and ask him.
no, that's.
The thing that's good is it's already in their budget, you're just moving it around.
Right. Yeah, so,
I'll make a motion.
okay, Doug has made a motion to approve that transfer. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Sonia has seconded, so any other discussion? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
You said Sonia did.
Sonia seconded.
Okay, and then I have 2 amendments to the salary ordinance, but it's for the same position. It's just possibly using 2 different funds through the end of the year. Community corrections part-time maintenance is running out of money in his county general line item. And Wyatt would like to either use lit CR tax in that part-time maintenance line item that's already budgeted, but was at a lower amount, a lower hourly wage, or he'd like to use his part-time officer line item, and that too was at a lower hourly wage. So what he'd like to do is have Jerry's pay of $17.91 per hour on both of these positions so he can use him in December instead of not letting him work.
So we wanted to pass both of these then?
If you pass both of them, it just lets him get paid at his normal rate out of either one of these line items. And it would be just for this year for Jerry only.
So he's gonna be paid out of 2 line items for.
Well, he could either be paid out of the CR tax line or he can be paid out of the community corrections grant line. And what Wyatt would like to do is use the grant to deplete it before using the lit CR tax. Because grant funds, you use or lose. But the part-time officer line item that he would pay out is not at $17.91 per hour, so
Would you have to do?
So yes.
that's what these are, salary ordinances, to let us pay him
I'm sorry.
at that rate.
Through 2 funds, or through both of those.
Right, he currently makes the same hourly rate in county general, but that fund that line item's gone. Because they used him more this year during the move.
Is there enough money in the community corrections grant to pay you for the rest of the year?
Um,
Or you don't know that?
Well, he has a part-time officer line item, and he didn't know how much would be left because he does have a part-time officer.
Okay.
So he was kind of gauging it, he'd use that until it's gone, and then he would,
So we
Switch to the
technically have
CR
to approve
tax.
them both, right?
right. Now,
So there's enough
We-
money to.
we would only pay if it's him. We wouldn't pay anybody else that amount.
Okay, so you want to take the one out of the community corrections grant first, then improve that? Or salary ordinance? Anybody want to make, does everybody understand this? Okay, so let's make a motion then.
Make the motion.
Alex made a motion here to pay it out of, this is out of the community corrections grant, paying this $17.91 an hour.
I'll second.
Okay, so Alex and Doug, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So it passes on that. Okay, then the next one, if he doesn't, he would use all the grant money up, and then if he doesn't have enough money to pay him, I think Jerry called me about it. I mean, it's like 6 more weeks, I think, is what he's got that he needs to get paid. So out of this lit CR tax money. So, and I have a motion there to prove that the balance of his rest of his year. This is just for this year.
Yeah, it's just for this year.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Alex made the motion. Harold seconded, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Um, Okay, I have all the forms for the county appointments, for the council's appointments. The only thing I don't have filled out is the museum board, I believe.
Yes, and I can elaborate on that. I think, Daryl was looking for that person. And then I think he was out of the country there, and he had texted me, and I talked with Vic Best, and I talked to some other people. Vic would like to get someone from the southeast area, because because he doesn't have any really representation from that area. So I called a couple of people and I gave him a list last night of about 9 to 10 people, that potentials. And he had a meeting tonight, I think, and he was gonna follow up with their board a little bit and discuss this and make some calls. So he's telling me that it's not important to have this position filled, right at the end of the year. Because he said one other time Huntingburg didn't get it for 4 or 5 months. So he's saying, give him a chance. He wants to do a little checking. And then if it happens here before the end of the year or the first part of January, he's fine with it.
Okay.
So if that's agreeable with everyone. Because I think there's some good names, and he made a good case for why he wants Southeast to get involved a little bit more into it. So.
Thank you.
So otherwise, we have to vote on all these. Can we vote on all?
You can do them all in one. I can tell you what I have, and then we can go from there. I think
Yes.
you have the Indiana Region 15
Yes, I.
piece of mail that we have to fill out,
She signed it, and I'll sign this.
and then I'll include that with this. I have Mike Kleesner on the DuBois County Area Development Corp., DuBois Strong. I have Meredith on the Indiana 15 Regional. I have Pat Sager for the Patoka Lake Regional Water and Sewer District. Greg Abel on the Property Tax Board of Appeals. Sonia Haas on the Solid Waste Management District Board, and then Rachel Steckler on the DuBois County Tourism Committee.
Should these be dated tonight?
We did date them for today,
Okay.
and then I'll have you sign all these, so get ready to sign.
Does that sound right to everyone? So we want to approve, someone make a motion to approve the appointments as noted.
I'll make the motion.
Sonia's made a motion, I have a second.
I'll second.
Meredith is seconded, so any other discussion on it? Otherwise, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
And I'll hold the museum with them.
We need to take action on the sewer district, possible appointments or not at this
Yeah,
point?
I've got some I want to at least discuss them.
Okay.
Here's, I'll put this all together with a letter. Sandy, I'll put it with these.
Yes, please do. And I'll turn it back in.
This doesn't make sense.
Oh, that's beautiful.
get that a little bit.
While we're signing these, Carol, you wanna talk about that farm? You have that farm meeting?
Yeah, tomorrow night at the Du Bois Fire Station / new ambulance center at 7:00. All the fire chiefs from the county are gonna be there. They're curious about funding, potential funding dollars that are out there. And any of us are invited to come. They'll have it's their normal monthly meeting. But they're there asking for any kind of ideas, input, so that better understanding of public safety tax things. I know Mayor Von der Heidt's going to be there. So everybody's welcome to come. Invite any of us who want to come. Help explain the possibilities.
Where's the sound?
7:00 at the Du Bois Fire Station. The new ambulance / fire station in Du Bois.
Yes. Again, I think, if we have more than 3 people, I mean, we can't make a decision, we can just make comments.
All of you can go, you guys just can't conduct any kind of business, or make any kind of decisions.
But I mean, we can't.
You're invited there, so you can
If they
go
say,
to gather information, but you can't make any decisions.
We can't say yes, we will, or no, we won't. We just listen. So that's fine. And then, I did have, I think I sent you, I think both of you both sent this, and I don't know when these appointments for this regional sewer district, we have to get with Mary, but at least I wanted to get some research into it. And we do have 2 people from different districts, that Alex spoke with, and I spoke with the other one. I think I sent him to you. I don't know if there's anyone else I think we still have time if anyone else is interested. I didn't promise, they just, the person I talked to was interested in it, and they live in that area, so I think, up in Hayesville, so I think it would be somebody that's got interest in it.
I assume that's the same thing for the.
Yeah, Melanie, she's worked with the city of Huntingburg, on potentially running a force main to the wastewater plant if, Holland gets in additional housing, which is potentially gonna happen. She actually oversees the wastewater department, as a town board president, so she's a temporary operator when they got on vacation. And she's been to a lot of the regional sewer district meetings, is pretty versed on that subject, so.
Sounds like should be a good
Not a
fit.
pretty good fit, yeah.
I don't know when you have to officially have that, but it's good to have it in place for when Mary says it's time.
Yes, the commissioners do the other 2 areas of the county.
You got these, or they got these, and you got these in the county.
Right. So at least we're ahead of the game there. And then, do we have to start thinking about a health department council appointment? Isn't, that the commissioners appointed someone?
I talked to Sean about that today when I was finishing the minutes for the commissioners. It's as their appointments become due, and yours isn't due yet.
Okay,
So the next time yours is due, then I think
we have to.
then you'll deal with it. But
Okay.
the only one that was due was Dr. Lurie, which was the commissioner's appointment
Okay.
this year. Her term was up.
So we don't have to worry about that at this point.
I don't think so.
Okay. I don't think I have, you guys get the minutes of the construction of the jail. It's gonna be, March, it's probably when they're gonna be doing the asphalting when the weather changes again, or, gets warmer. But they should have the facilities done, hopefully in March, February, March.
I have one more that I forgot. Anthony sang the alcohol
Okay.
beverage commission. You have to sing that. Sorry.
The public hearing, the second public hearing that Mary had, how did that go?
There was not a lot of people. It was, I think Sonny was there.
About 6 public, maybe.
Yeah.
Really?
I think it was more county than public there.
For sure.
Is that right?
Was it largely the same information as the one?
Well, they narrowed it down. They didn't do the right of entry and they didn't do like the focus on Hayesville, but I thought it was a really good presentation.
Okay.
I almost thought it was better than the first time.
Really?
Yeah, it was good.
Why did the gentleman speak? Is that why?
No, it was both.
Just condensed.
It was-
You could see, yeah.
And the auditorium is just a much better facility. You have a speaking system, you have
No,
the bigger
I-
screen. It was just a much better facility. But I
asked her to
realized
make
why
sure-
we want to have it up there. I mean, the church was great for what it was.
I asked her to make sure that everything was
Oh, sure, Doug, I got you on here too. 911 advisory board. I'm finding them everywhere here.
Does anyone else have anything that they want to discuss here before we break for the Christmas? No, yelling before Christmas. Nobody else, anyone else?
In January, I do have, I think we want to maybe try to set your January meeting.
Okay.
Unless you want to wait until next month, but it helps us with that, with planning and advertising.
No, let's do it.
When people call and want to know, I have it then.
So we normally meet early and late.
That's totally up to you, how you want to do it.
I mean, does that cause an issue with payroll or anything like that?
No,
I mean, otherwise, we always meet toward the end of the month.
we,
There's 5 Mondays.
Last time we met on
Right.
the 30th.
the payroll until, unless when you guys reorganize, we go up until that day, so.
So either we want to just go on the 29th of January, is that all right?
Well, last year we met twice.
Pardon me?
Last year we met twice in January.
Yeah, I know, because we
Oh,
had so many new people, and I think we had,
Well, I think you also had like issues, like if you want to rescind that, we'll rescind it in January. We just won't let them hire. So I'll have a form that's how you rescind it.
So we don't do that now, the two contingency?
I think you have to do it in the budget year,
Okay.
but I'll get more information about that and I'll know for next meeting.
so is the 29th fine with everyone at 4:30? Just set it for then, and then if something changes, we can talk about it next month.
Do want to give you a heads up, so I do have a Zoom meeting this evening with the Indiana County Council Association. They are talking about having their Southwest District meeting, you know, last year was the first year they had one. So they're looking at possibly sometime during the last week of January.
Okay.
But that's
Probably wouldn't be on a Monday though.
probably not,
Other Wednesdays.
probably not.
I think they want to have it here. I think all of us attended that one
We
in
did,
that first, so.
Yeah.
They probably enjoyed that
they
large
did,
attendance, I would say,
Yes.
from our county.
I think with 8 counties touching us, we're just
It's an easier draw.
an easier hub here, but, I mean, I'm open to whatever you
Want to have it
want to put.
closer to us again.
Was that over at the Huntingburg?
That was at the event center.
Yeah.
We're saying 4:30 on the
29th.
We need to just
4:30.
sign that one right there. I don't want to walk out.
Oh, sorry, yes.
No, it's okay. I'm just afraid someone's gonna leave.
Otherwise, your next meeting here is December 11th,
Next,
4:30. And then
yeah,
the following meeting is December 27th at 9 a.m.
that's correct.
So, unless anyone else, what's the second one? 2011?
27th at 9 a.m.
Okay, I got it.
No other business? Sandy, you have anything else?
Oh, God, I hope.
Okay, so I entertain a motion to close the meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Doug has made a motion, now the second. Alex seconded, so all in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Meeting's closed.